Alright guys, it's Mr. Lynch coming back at you with another great math video. This time, we're doing more modeling to solve 1- and 2-step equations. Now remember, 1-step equations are where we are doing one thing to get x equals something. And then a 2-step is where we have to do two things. Usually we will add or subtract, then we'll multiply or divide. So let's jump right into it. We've got the model and we've drawn the equation for x plus 5 equals 8. So we have one x bar and three 5 squares. Wow, 5 1 squares. Jeez. And then over here we have 8 1 squares. So in doing this, I'm going to add 5 negative 1 squares over here. Because if I add 5 negative 1s, then I've created a 0 pair. So these all add up to 0. So I'm left with just an x. But remember, I can't do it to one side without doing it to the other. And then we'll put this other one up here. These are a 0 pair. All of these right here are 0 pairs. So I'm left with just these three here. So that's how we see it in the picture. Now, in looking at the algebra part of it, what did I do? Well, I added negative 5. And adding a negative is the same thing as just subtracting. So because I'm adding 5 up here, I need to subtract 5 to get this x by itself. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And so 8 minus 5 gets me 3, and we'll plug it in to make sure it's true. So let's do this. We've got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is equal to x plus 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, let's write this out. I need to do the same thing. I need to get this x by itself, and in order to do that, I need to add 8 negative 1s to make my 0 pair. So I'm going to draw my 8 negative 1s. I need that 0 pair so that these are all just going to, I don't want to say go away, but they're going to switch sides. We're going to move them across the equal sign. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And I'll color these in. All right. Now I create my 0 pairs over here as well. Now with all these 0 pairs gone, because they're 0, we don't care about 0. We're not going to write 0 in our equation. That's just, why would I care about 0? Now I'm left with just an x equals negative 3. So let's see if x equals negative 3. Looking at the algebra, because I'm adding 8 to both sides, I need to do the opposite, and I need to subtract 8. Well, 5 minus 8, that's negative 3. I put my x here because I didn't do anything with it, and 8 minus 8 is 0, so I get negative 3 equals x, or x equals negative 3. Now let's do what they did up here. Let's plug it in. So I got 5 equals x plus 8. Is 5 equal to negative 3 plus 8? Well, negative 3 plus 8, that's 8 minus 3, so that's 5. So we get 5 equals 5. It's correct. Negative 3 is solution. Now, looking at these two, they look really similar, right? 5 equals x plus 8, x plus 5 equals 8. They look super similar, but why are their answers not the same? Like up here, the answer was 3, and down here, the answer was negative 3. Well, they're not the same because looking at the equations, here in the second one, in number 2, we're adding 8, whereas in number 1, we're adding 5. Now, that makes a big deal. That makes a big difference. Originally, we're asking what plus 5 gets us 8, but down here, we're asking what plus 8 gets us 5. In one, we're increasing, and in the other, we're going to be decreasing. All right. So now we're not going to subtract or add. We're not going to add. We're going to multiply. So I've got 3 x bars that get me -6. All right, let's code these in so we know they're negative. Okay, so to do this one, I want 1x, right? I don't care about 3x's. I don't care about 2x's. I want to know 1x. And I can't subtract 2x's because then that'll give me x's on the other side. So let's cut this into thirds. Yeah, that'll give me 1x. Because if I focus on 1/3 of this, that is 1x. So let's cut this in thirds too. And if we look at this now, each x has 2 negative ones with it. So I'm going to say this says that the answer is x equals -2. But let's just double check. Let's do the math. Let's do the algebra. So we're multiplying by 3, so I need to undo that. Undoing multiplication is division. So if I divide by 3 on both sides, 3x divided by 3, well, that's just 1x. And -6 divided by 3, 6 divided by 3 is 2, but one of them is negative, so I gotta make this a -2. Our answers seem to be the same, so let's just double check. Is 3 times -2 equal to -6? Well, a positive times a negative, that's a negative. And 3 times 2 is 6. Yep, we get -6. We're good to go. Check mark, we're done. So what happened here was we broke it into thirds. Because we had 3 of them, we needed to look at 1/3 of the x's. And we know that the opposite of multiplication is division. So how can we use that to solve this? If 1/3 of an x is -6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a full x bar. That whole thing is x. But we only have 1/3 of it, so we don't have this. This is all we have. And that's equal to -6. Shade these in so we know they're negative. Okay. So if 1/3 of an x is -6, then a full x must be -18. Let's see. When it comes to this, I think using the math is a little bit easier than using the picture way. So, trust me, that's a 6. What's the opposite of division? Well, the opposite of division, how to undo division, is to multiply. So if I have x over 3, I'm going to multiply by what's in that denominator. And I'm going to do it on both sides. This side's multiplied by 3, and this side's multiplied by 3. 3 over 1 times x over 3, well, we just multiply straight across. We get 3x over 3. But remember, up here, 3x over 3 gets us just an x. So I get x equals positive times a negative is a negative, and 3 times 6, 18. Yep, so we get -18. And I'll let you guys double check that math. 1/2 of x, perfect. So if I got an x bar, and I cut it in half, we're saying that that's equal to 3. Well, that's easy. If half is 3, then a full has to be 6. But let's just make sure. So we get 1/2 of x equals 3. Ooh, this is where it really gets kind of tough. So you guys would say we're multiplying here, right? Well, it's 1/2 times x. Sure, we're multiplying. But when we're multiplying by a fraction, that's the same as dividing, right? So 1/2 of x is the same thing as x over 2. So really, we're saying we have 1/2 of an x, so we're really dividing by 2. So if I'm dividing by 2, to undo that, I'm going to multiply by 2, which gets me a 2x over 2 equals 2 times 3 is 6. Well, 2x over 2, we said 3x over 3 was x, so is 2x over 2x? Exactly. 2x's divided by 2 is just a single x. So x equals 6. And I'll let you guys check to see what happened. Check to make sure that answer is correct. So what happened to the terms on both sides of the equation? Well, we ended up multiplying to get our answer. All right, now we got some two-steppers. All right, let's do the math first. -9 equals 2x minus 5. Well, let's do our do-undo chart. Do, undo. Remember, do is down, undo is up. So the first thing we're doing is the closest thing. So the closest thing we're doing is multiplying by 2. And then we subtract 5. Well, to undo multiplying by 2, I'm going to divide by 2. And to undo subtracting 5, I'll add 5. Which means going up, the first thing we have to do is we have to add 5 to both sides. So if I add 5, I get -9 plus 5. If I walk backwards 9 steps and then I walk forward 5, I'm at 4 steps behind where I was. And we didn't do anything to this 2x, we're going to leave it the same. -5 plus 5 is 0. Okay. So now we're done with that, I need to divide by 2. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. And 4 divided by 2, that's 2. So -2 equals x. Does that work? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. And we gotta shade these in because they're negatives. It's equal to 2x's minus 5. All right, let's shade these in. So in order to get just the 2x by itself, I need to get rid of these 1's. Because they're negative 1's, I'm going to add positive 1's to make my 0 pair. 0 pairs. And I need to add 5 over here to make my 0 pairs. Because remember, I can't do something to one side without doing it to the other. It's like a scale. It has to stay the same. So now that I have 0 pairs, I'm going to get rid of those. I don't want 0 pairs. I don't want to see 0. I don't like zeros. Cool. So now 2x equals -4. I want 1x, and I can't subtract x, because that'll give me an x on the other side. Let's cut it in half. If I cut it in half, and then cut this in half, whoa! We got an x and a -2. So x equals -2. You guys double check that answer. And let's do, ooh, we're going to do this one. We're going to do this one. Okay. All right. Let's start with the do-undo chart. So the first thing we're doing is right here. It's whatever's attached to the x. So that's dividing by 2. And then the next thing is we're adding 7. Easy. Go down, go up, undo dividing by 2, multiply by 2, undo adding 7, we subtract 7. So, step 1, subtract 7. So let's subtract 7 from both sides. So then 7 minus 7 is 0, so we're left with an x over 2. Negative 3 minus 7, it's negative 10. Done. Step 2 is to multiply by 2. So 2x divided by 2 equals, that's a negative, positive times a negative is a negative. 2 times 10 is 20. Okay. Now 2x divided by 2, we saw what that was before. That's just an x. So we get x equals negative 20 as our final answer. Alright guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you are ringing that notification bell so you guys can see these videos as soon as it comes out. As always guys, enjoy the math and we'll see you soon.